50% of NFL quarterbacks drafted in the first round are out of the league within 5 years. So it's almost impossible to invest in these new guys because almost every player, not everyone, but a lot of them don't end up fulfilling to their potential. So buying these sports cards and holding them long term is extremely difficult. But in this video, I'm going to share with you, in my opinion, what the best 3 long-term investments are. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to share with you the worst investment. And it's probably not what you think, okay? So let's get into things a little bit. So I'm going to talk about holding cards long term. I don't do this that much. So you have to remember, most players don't perform up to expectation. It's just how sports works, and it's how sports cards works, right? Players get inflated, they're excited. You know, investors are like, oh my God, this player is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes, and they're not. Just to give you a good example, like Kenny Pickett cards almost sell for as much is Trevor Lawrence cards. And the reason for that is Kenny Pickett is on the Steelers. They have a big fan base. People are really excited about him. But in reality, Trevor Lawrence's talents are 10 times what Kenny Pickett's are. Also, Trevor Lawrence has done 10 times as much in the league as Kenny Pickett has. Trevor Lawrence won a playoff game. Kenny Pickett has not. And their cards almost sell for around the same. Trevor Lawrence a little bit more. In theory, Trevor Lawrence's cards would sell for a lot more, but they don't. The reason I'm telling you this is that's why it's so hard to invest in players long term. I mean, you can try to find the next Brock Purdy, but that's almost impossible, right? Finding a player that sells for pennies and then hoping they're going to 10x, right? Not going to happen. So I'm going to walk you through the best 3 investments, and these are going to be more vintage cards. So when I talk about vintage cards, early 2000s and before. Usually when you hear the word vintage cards, you probably think of 1950, 1960. I'm just talking about cards that are around 20 years or older, okay? I'm going to talk about buying these vintage cards and what I think are the best long-term investments. Now, you have to understand how vintage cards works. It's very different than how modern cards work, okay? With modern cards, when you get one graded, it's really a 9.5 or a PSA 10 or bust. You might have a card of, let's take Kenny Pickett again, for example, an autograph that sells for $500. As a PSA 10, it's worth about $1,500. And as a 9, it's $500. As an 8, it's $450. You know, as a 7, it's $400. So the point I'm trying to make, it's PSA 10 or bust with modern cards. Vintage cards, extremely different, okay? You could have a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. A 1 might be $10,000, then graded a 2 is $20,000, and then graded a 3, it's like $40,000, then graded a 4, it's $50,000. So it really works its way up, and 1s and 2s and 3s, PSA 1s and 2s and 3s are very valuable, okay, in a lot of cases. So it's just important to understand that 1s and 2s and 3s are not bad. But 1s and 2s and 3s with modern cards are bad. All right, no one's ever going to want that stuff. Understand that first. And then second, what's important to understand is that there's more to vintage cards than the grade, okay? With modern cards, a PSA 10 is going to sell for around the same, okay? A PSA 10 of a Kenny Pickett card, you know, is going to be around $1,500, and that's what it sells for. Maybe a sale might do $1,400, maybe a sale might do $1,600, but it's going to stay around that range. People only care about the grade. Vintage cards, extremely different, okay? You could have a card that's graded a 2. However, the collector looks at the card above the grade, so they might be looking at the centering and the color, and you might have a card graded a 2 that has bad centering and bad color, but somehow it got a 2. Or you might have one that has much better centering and much better color, but maybe it has some sort of mark on the back and it didn't get graded as high as it maybe should have. But for those reasons, people prefer better coloring and better centering with vintage cards. So even though you might have this 2 different cards, both graded a 2, one might sell for a lot more than the other. Just to show you an example, so this is a 1951 Bowman rookie Mickey Mantle card, and what I'm going to show you right here, this card sold for about $9,800. Okay, take a look at it. Now this card right here sold for $15,000. Both cards are graded a 2. However, the $15,000 card has much better coloring, okay? It's brighter. These cards sell for different amounts, even though the grade might be the same, okay? So important to understand that. But let's get into what I think are the best 3 long-term investments, okay? Number 1, is 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth does not have any rookie cards, okay? This is Babe Ruth's best card. And what's important here to understand about the 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth is there's actually 4 different variations of the card, okay? So there's his yellow one, that's number 53. There's his red one, that's number 149. There's the one of him swinging, that's number 144. And there's a green, that's number 181, okay? And in that order, yellow, red, swinging, and green, that's what the order of the value. So the yellow one is worth the most, and the green one is worth the least. And just to show you a little bit of a screenshot here, so a green PSA 5 back in 2018, as you can see here, was about $6,700, and today it's worth about $25,000, okay? Basically the same exact card. Now, what's great about these vintage cards is, if you know me, I love to buy things when they come down, okay? I love to see things come down, I buy low, and then I hope they go back up, right? That's kind of my game plan. I love to buy things when other people aren't. And these cards in the pandemic in 2021 and 22 were actually worth a little bit more money than they are today, okay? So it's good to buy on that low. They've come down like 20-30%, and I project them to make a steady increase of 10 to 20% every single year. And I just personally think these cards are undervalued. So 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruths are actually my only PC. These are the only cards I actually personally collect and really won't ever sell them. And they've done very well for me. They've almost doubled in value since I started buying them in about 2018. My total collection as a whole, I've bought them 2018, 2019, 2020, and I've bought them every year. But, I just think they're undervalued. Not many people talk about it. I mean, obviously it's a great card. It's a super iconic card. But when you think of vintage cards, people kind of look at like the 1952 Mickey Mantle. But in my opinion, I just think the card's undervalued for like an icon of the sport, Babe Ruth, this being his best card. For as cheap as you can get it as a PSA 1, you can get it for a few $1,000s. I mean, I know it's not like super cheap in generally speaking, but for these iconic vintage cards, I think it is. So number 2 is the 2001 Authentic number to 900 Tiger Woods. Yes, I said that. Golf. Tiger Woods. Yes, you heard me correctly. So golf is becoming huge, okay? Golf is becoming a massive, massive sport, okay? And for this reason, Tiger Woods is obviously the icon of golf, right? He's like the GOAT. Yeah, he changed things for everybody. And if you don't know that much about golf, watch the Netflix series Full Swing. It's gotten crazy ratings. I watched it. It's insane. It's really good. And also, for those of you guys that follow golf a little bit, you'll know that the PGA and LIV are merging. I think this is going to catapult golf into the next stratosphere. Now, PGA is obviously what they did. They kind of screwed over some golfers by like telling them not to join LIV. Then they ended up merging with LIV. But I think it's going to be huge for golf. The purses are going to be bigger. So what I mean by that is the winning amount of money you can get when these golfers enter tournaments is going to be much, much bigger now, backed with Saudi money, because they have like unlimited amounts of money. And that's how these golfers make money. They really make money off of going to these tournaments. And if they place, that's kind of their paycheck. So golf is going to become huge, right? These purses that were $5-6 million are now going to become $10, $15, $20 million. And I think it's going to just catapult golf. Also, LIV Golf, the difference between LIV and PGA, LIV was kind of like more hip, more cool, music going on, like a little bit like not as traditional as PGA. So I think LIV's going to put some of that into golf now, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great and get younger people like me involved in golf, because a lot of younger people don't like all these traditional things you have to do, tactics, and it being like a gentleman's sport. But I think golf is now transitioning into something a little bit more cooler. And this was probably another one that you're not thinking of, is a 2000 Tom Brady Contenders auto. So why do I think this is a good deal? So Tom Brady stuff has fallen a lot. It was worth so much money. It was worth so much money in the pandemic. Just to show you a screenshot here, a PSA 7 in April of 2022, last year, was $41,000. Fast forward 5-6 months later to that same year, December, it was $18,000. You know, when everyone zigs, you should zag. And if you're buying something for long term, you want to buy it as cheap as possible. And I just think it's a tremendous investment. You can't go wrong with Tom Brady, number one. He's the GOAT. I don't think anyone's going to reach him in terms of Super Bowls. And it's fallen so much. For those of you guys that follow me, you know when stuff falls, I like to buy it. So I think Tom Brady Contenders cards are a great purchase. And once again, these are expensive. It's like all these ones I'm giving you options for are expensive. Maybe I'll do another video on like cheaper ones. But I just think it's a tremendous buy at the moment. It's fallen so much, and I think it has a lot of room to go back up, okay? So those are the best 3 investments, in my opinion. The 33 Gaudy Babe Ruth, 2001 number to 900 authentic Tiger Woods, and the 2000 Tom Brady Contenders. Now, what is the worst one? What is the worst investment, in my opinion? The worst investment that you can make long term. Not that it's bad and it's not going to make you a lot of money. It's just not going to make you a lot of money. It's going to appreciate extremely slow. That's the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan. Why? There's like a billion of them. Like, there's so many of them, and they're sold so often. If you're investing in something long term, you want to be buying something that not everybody has, something that's a little bit more rare, okay? For those of you guys that follow me, and you've probably heard me talk about this, the sports card market collapsed in the 90s because these cards in the 1980s were massively overproduced, and the Michael Jordan card from 1986 is no different, okay? Is this card going to go up in the future? Of course, but it'll go up extremely slow, like, you know, a few percent a year, and it's not going to make any type of difference, okay? So hopefully, don't buy that. Once again, this is just my opinion. This is not financial advice, but just from what I've seen, these cards are bought and sold 8 million times a day, and I just don't think it has any type of scarcity to it. So those are the 3 best buys, and then the worst buy, in my opinion. Hopefully, this video helped you out and kind of gave you a different angle at the sports card market, because when I talk about sports cards, usually it's like modern cards, but hopefully you guys like this video. Like, comment, subscribe, comment below with your opinions. Maybe you totally disagree with me and you think I'm a total moron. Comment below. I'd love to debate and go back and forth, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.